all are.
I just started the meeting one. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andy McPherson, affectionately known as Mr. Easy Stock. This is a formal, informal meeting. Your microphones, we've allowed you to turn them on if you have a question, or you can put it in the chat. We have a heck of a deal on the SmartHQ device, and Juan will speak to that. And we appreciate your time this morning, and I'll hand it over to Juan. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us on this. This is going to be one of the last trainings we do in 2025. So we just want to say thank you for all the support that you've given us throughout the year, and we really appreciate everything that you do for this industry. Right, being in the repair industry is not easy. Obviously, you just get all the complaints and hardly any of the compliments. So hopefully we can help you, with SmartHQ service to make your job a little bit easier. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today, how to utilize this tool to diagnose and repair some of the common dishwasher symptoms that you often see. So, my friends, it's the festive season. One of the things that we want to promote today is the offer that Andy was talking about with Encompass, where you will actually be able to purchase the SmartHQ bundle pack, right? This is going to come with both the module, the Bluetooth module, and of course it's going to come with a 1-month subscription. But the cool part of it is that if you purchase it today and then you purchase an additional $2,500 worth of GE appliance parts within 2 months, you're going to get reimbursed the price of the module that you pay. So essentially it makes it free, and you get to keep it forever. It's not like you have to give it back or anything like that. So it's an amazing offer. We're going to show a QR code that you can scan a little bit later on so that you can take advantage of it. But for now, let's go ahead and quickly get started because we do have a ton of material to cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly spotlight myself for everybody so that you can see my full screen. And there we go. You should be able to see me fully on the screen now. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about SmartHQ service for dishwashers. So at the heart of the system, my friends, is going to be that Bluetooth module that you see right there in the middle of your screen. And that's the hardware that is going to connect physically to the appliances that you're working on. In the case of a dishwasher, the port is going to be located behind the toe kick plate. So all you need to do is kind of reach down, remove the 2 screws, take the toe kick plate off, and then underneath you'll find the main control board, which is going to be where the port is located. Now, the cable comes included as well, but you can get your own RJ45 cable if you wanted to get a longer one. That's, it'll work with longer cables as well. Once you make the physical connection, you will be able to communicate between your mobile device and the appliance via Bluetooth. So this is a Bluetooth protocol communication, and you can diagnose the dishwasher. So for example, if you want to check what the water temperature is, or the turbidity value, or you want to see where the water is coming out of, the upper spray arm, lower spray arm, if you're checking, for example, your diverter, all of that information will be available to you, again, without having to take out any tools except the removal of the toe kick plate. Now, in addition to the real-time diagnostics, and we'll cover a little more in detail what that means, but in addition to that, you also get access to cloud-based service documentation. And what this means to you is that if you're looking for a schematic diagram, or the mini manual, right? Oftentimes, my friends, we look for that mini manual, the tech sheet that's included with all of our appliances. But if, technician from company ABC was there before you, and maybe they got a hold of the tech sheet and they didn't put it back or kept it as a souvenir, well, you won't have access to it. But with SmartHQ service, you have access to those documents in digital form, so you never have to worry about losing them. And the quality of the graphics is crystal clear. It's amazing how our engineers were able to do that. Also, you get access to other service documents such as the service manual, the mini manual. And of course, if you're an affiliated company with GE Appliances, you also get access to the service bulletins, which is extremely important for issues that we know are out there, that we have all the parts information, all the repair procedures, anything that you need. So on top of that, you also have the parts database built right into the app. So any parts that you need, whether it's a spray arm, a motor, a water valve, a main control board, all of that is going to be available to you right from the app. And I want to quickly talk about that, my friends, because One of the things that SmartHQ service allows you to do is to get your parts directly from Encompass. Okay, you don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to search online. All you have to do is program your SmartHQ service application with the code that I'm going to give you. So let's go ahead and split the screen over here so you see exactly what I'm talking about. So when you go into your application, right, you can, again, we're going to go into diagnostics. We're going to test some things on the dishwasher. But once you're ready to order your parts, all you need to do is go to the parts ordering button down here. So click parts ordering, click the parts marketplace, and SmartHQ service will ask you to contact your parts distributor for the code. So the code that you're going to use for Encompass is going to be ENC23. Okay, it kind of rhymes, so it makes it easy to remember. ENC23, ENC23, right? Kind of like a little song there. So enter that code, and guess what? When you hit go, it's going to take you directly to the Encompass B2B website where you can just simply type in the part that you need. And we'll show you how to get the parts in a second. But you can order directly from Encompass. You don't have to go anywhere else. And if you're at a job site, you're the customer's house, and you know you need a drain pump or a board or whatever it is, instead of having to go back to the office, or maybe it's a Friday afternoon and you got to wait till Monday, guess what? You can order right there, get the part quickly, expedite it, and it makes everyone's life much easier, right? So that being said, we're going to go back over here to the dashboard screen, and let's go ahead and talk now about what it is that you're going to see as soon as you connect to the appliance, right? By the way, I also want to mention something, my friends. We are going to be pausing periodically for questions, but you are welcome to enter your questions in the chat, and I will reach out to the folks at Encompass to kind of read me those questions as we're going through the presentation. We want to make sure that you are fully understanding everything that we're talking about, and if something doesn't make sense, if I'm not clear about any piece of information, just stop me, and we're glad to answer the questions. Okay, that's what we're here for today. Okay, so with that said, my friends, let's talk about the diagnostic section of SmartHQ. So not only do you see model number, serial number information, things like that, but you also get a section called diagnostics. And this particular part will allow you to see if there's any fault codes in the machine, if there are any alerts, or if there is a firmware update available. Now, let's talk about that. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to show you just in real time over here. Again, we're going to split the screen. So again, my friends, everything we're doing here is fully live. It's 100%. This is not a pre-recording. You're seeing it as we're doing. So one of the things I noticed is this machine was manufactured in 2024. It's been running for a year and 198 days, and it seems to have 4 fault codes. And the reason I know that is because if I hit the fault button and then go ahead and accept these terms and conditions, you see that there are 4 faults stored in the unit. Now, what's nice about this is that instead of me having to go to the user interface and press a series of key code sequences to extract those codes, all I have to do is click my fault code button, and all the codes come up right there. Now, not only do I see the codes, but I can actually see when they occurred and a description of what to do about it to fix it. So let's say I get this F168 code, no heater current. If I click on that, it kind of gives me an overview of what to look for, and it tells me this happened 55 days ago. So this might have been something that maybe is no longer really an issue because it is an inactive code, which means it's not causing an issue right now. But if you ever see those codes in green, it says active. We maybe should change that to red to make it more vivid, right? But for now, it's green. So if you ever see it in green, it's basically telling you that it is an active code that you have to do something about. You can't just ignore it. It's not going to go away by itself. These inactive codes, I can ignore them. I can clear them if I wanted to because they're not really an issue. And that, my friends, would be essentially how you would go into the fault codes. Very simple, just hit faults. As far as your alerts, we don't have any alerts right now. It says no alerts. And alerts are things that maybe are related to how the customer is using their product, right? For example, if you ever get a complaint about wet or dirty dishes, it could be as a result of the customer using the express cycle. And most of you out there know, but for those of you that don't know, the express cycle, the 1 hour cycle, typically does not engage the drying portion at the end. So it leaves the dishes wet, and that's kind of the whole point of it, right? To wash the dishes within maybe one hour. but the trade-off is you got to wipe them down with a rag or something like that. So if your customer is cool with that, that's totally okay. But if their complaint is, yeah, this dishwasher leaves the dishes wet all the time, check your alerts. They might be using the express cycle, and then it just becomes a customer education service call, right? Makes it very simple. And then, of course, firmware updates. Now, firmware updates right now, we don't have a firmware update available for this unit. This unit's fully 100 up to date. But if there were or if there was a firmware update available, you'd see that apply button highlighted, and you can click on it. And you'd also see a description of what the update will do. So what firmware updates do for you, my friends, are two things. Number one, it allows you to update the unit to the latest and greatest software that GE has put out there. So if there's an added feature, or maybe the unit can become more efficient, it'll help with that. But the other thing is, in some cases, a firmware update will actually resolve a software-related issue that normally you would have to replace a control board to fix. So what it means to you is this: you don't have to wait for a board to come in and schedule a second service call. You can take care of the issue right then and there if it's software related. So the existing board that's on there, that will continue to work as long as you update the firmware. And that'll prevent you from having to go back to that customer's house. So guess what? You save a second service visit. That is what's going to make you more efficient. That's what's going to give you more ability, more capacity. It's going to open up capacity for you to run more service calls. And that's truly what this tool does. It allows you, the service technician, the service owner, to be able to run more service calls with the same time and the same resources that you have. So if you are looking for an amazing holiday gift this season, and I'm not talking a gift that you give and somebody's going to throw away. No, I'm talking about a gift that not only are you going to give it to someone, but it's going to keep giving back to you. Look no further than the SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack. I know I sound like a commercial, but believe me when I tell you this, it's such a nice thing to give, okay? It comes in a nice little box. All you have to do is put a little bow on it, put it under the tree or wherever you want to leave it in the house, and your technicians will be able to utilize it. They'll become more efficient, faster, be able to run more service calls, in turn giving you back. Every time they use it, you're getting a little bit of your gift back, right? So definitely take advantage of the special offer that we have here, my friends. Speaking of which, before we get into the actual demonstration, let me go ahead and share so let me find that. All right, here's a promotion that we are currently running with Encompass. And again, that is the bundle pack, which is going to come not only with the hardware, but also with a 1-month subscription to this service. This is going to cost you upfront $199. And you can purchase it by simply scanning the QR code, or just write down that SKU that you see right there. Now, when you purchase this, my friends, you are going to be able to get that money back if you buy $2,500 worth of GE appliance parts within 2 months from purchasing this module. $2,500 goes by just like that. Okay, you can stock up on parts that you know that you need. It doesn't have to be dishwasher parts, by the way. It could be anything, right? Heating elements, motors, whatever it can, sensors. So purchase again the module for $199. Get the $2,500 in parts within 2 months, and you get a $200 credit, essentially making the module for free. So what better deal can you find than that? All right. So that's again the code. We're going to be showing the code at the end of the presentation. And in case you don't have your phone, that's okay. Just contact your local Encompass rep, and they'll be able to hook you up with that. Okay. All right. So far, let me take a quick pause over here, see if there's any questions on the line or on the chat. All right, I don't see anything just yet, so we're going to go ahead and move on. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about one of our first symptoms over here, my friends, and that is the dishes not drying, right? Coming out wet, dirty, whatever it is. So for the dishes to dry properly, one of the things two things that we need are going to be heat and airflow, right? We need proper heat and proper airflow. So if we have no heat or no airflow, obviously we're not going to get the dishes to dry. So let's go ahead and test that. We're going to go in real time right now. We're actually going to go to the unit. But before we do that, I did see a question come up on the chat. So please go ahead and either unmute yourself or, okay, I think you just wrote down the question over here. And the question is, the subscription works works for different techs. So I think what you're asking is, can you use one subscription for multiple technicians? And the answer to that is yes and no. So when you buy one of these bundle packs, it is going to come with one login, right? You create your own login for one subscription, and that's going to work on one mobile device only. But if you want to transfer that license, that ownership of that license to somebody else, when you register your account online, you can go back to that same website and revoke the license from whoever you gave it to originally. So you revoke it, and then you assign it or allocate it to someone else. So it is a manual process. You kind of have to go, ping pong back and forth. You can do that. If you're running into the situation where you have multiple service calls and technician has to come back all the way to your office or something, then you don't want to do that. You want to get one for each technician. But in theory, yes, you could transfer it over. I'm just going to tell you, from my experience, most companies, they just get one for each one of their technicians if they have a decent amount of volume for GE service calls. Okay, but great question, my friends. All right, so let's go ahead and shift gears over here. And what we're going to do, so for time purposes, we've already connected our Bluetooth module, we kind of show it over here, to the appliances port. And of course, now we're going to go ahead and show you side by side how we're going to activate some of the components here. So we talked about the dishes coming out wet, right? But I'm going to add to that, my friends, and I'm actually going to add the dishes also coming out dirty. So for that, the first thing we're going to do, and everything that I'm doing, by the way, it's in real time. So the first thing we're going to do over here is we're going to go ahead and put the unit into service mode to manually activate components. So we're going to click Diagnostic Features. We are going to go to Operate Loads and select Enter Service Mode. Now, when I select Enter Service Mode, the unit will automatically go into service mode without me having to go to the user interface and pressing that sequence of keys. So you can see the green bar at the top of the screen over here. That's an indication we are in service mode. Now, I can activate pretty much any component. The first one that I'm going to activate is this detergent dispenser over here, just because it's easy to, for everybody to see. So let's go ahead and click that button, Makeup Dispenser on. And you can see in a couple seconds, boom, it immediately opens up. And that's a beautiful thing, because if you ever have a situation where your customer is saying that the dishes are coming out dirty, and maybe you're wondering if this is working or not, this bad boy over here takes about 15 to 20 minutes to activate on its own if you start a cycle. You don't have 15 to 20 minutes. You got to get out of there as quickly as possible and run your other service call. So the best way to do it, just activate service mode, hit the on key, and voila, just like magic, okay? But going back to the symptom we talked about, so the dishes may be coming out wet, right? So this heater, so the heater right over here that you see that I'm touching, right now it's cool to the touch, but we're going to test it in a second. And I'm not going to do that by taking out a multimeter checking resistance. No, that's too much work. I'm going to do that by actually activating some of the other components, in this case the water valve. So watch this. I'm going to hit the water valve test on, and you're going to see water coming out of there. And there it is. Now my water is coming out of the port right there. So the machine is filling. And while that's happening, I also want to explain something else to you. There is a pressure sensor built into the dishwasher that you want to test. Okay, you want to make sure it's functioning. And to do that, you click the watch box button, and you can see right here this frequency, 103.2 hertz, kind of sounds like a radio station. As the machine fills, right, as the cavity fills with water, you notice that that number begins to change. In the case of a fill, the number will begin to drop. When it's draining, it'll rise. So the fact that that number is moving tells me that my pressure sensor is working. It's communicating with the main control board. And obviously, I can physically see that water is going into the dishwasher. So all is working in perfect order for now. Now, the next thing we're going to do, once this test stops, and by the way, it stops in about a minute, is we're going to go ahead and activate the water heater test. And what that's going to do is that's going to turn on the relay from the main board to send voltage to the heater, and in turn it's going to get very, very, very hot. So let's go ahead and do that. But for this, I actually need to close the door. I can't do that with the heater, with the door closed, for safety purposes. Safety first, right? So we hit heater on. So we're going to go ahead and hit water heater test on. And the other thing I want you to notice is look at the water heater status. Right now it's currently off. And what's going to happen is, let me kind of go on camera over here. What's going to happen is when I turn the water heater test on, the status goes from off to on. This is super, super important because this is a clear indication that the main control board is actually sending voltage to the heater. In other words, you're verifying that your main control board is working properly. The alternative way of doing that is you take a multimeter, you go to your test points and you measure 120 volts AC. But again, that requires disassembly, maybe taking the control board off the, well, not maybe, you have to remove the control board, running a test manually. It's a lot of work. But if you notice, I'm doing everything right from the application. So let's go back over here. And as you can see, the test has been running for about 45 seconds. I'm going to pause the heater test because I think the heater is hot enough right now. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to hit all off. All right, all off. I'm not talking about the one from Frozen. I'm talking about everything off. And now I am not going to touch that heater. What I'm actually going to do is just splash some water onto it, and it should sizzle. Oops, there it is. You see the smoke coming out of that? That thing is cooking, my friends. This thing is hot. Okay, so I know for a fact that my heater is 100% getting hot. It's working. And then the other thing I'm going to do now is we're going to check also the fan. Now, unfortunately, let's see the camera. I don't think the camera can pick up where the fan is at. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get close to the fan on the door with my microphone, and you should hear that fan run. So let's see, door fan. Okay, you see the door fan button down here? I'll make sure that I'm on the right one. Yes, we are. Okay, so door fan, I'm going to go ahead and hit the door fan on, and you're going to hear it running in my microphone. Pay close attention. All right, so you hear the fan. I'm going to turn it off. Okay. So you should have heard that fan going, which again, we can test it by simply using SmartHQ service. No need to go into the service mode or use any kind of meter or anything like that. The last thing we're going to check over here is going to be the drain pump. So let's go ahead and check the drain pump. Before I turn on the drain pump, we'll check the watch box and look at the frequency, 102.35. If my drain pump works correctly, obviously the water will exit, right? So there'll be no water left in here. But also, in addition to that, we're going to see that water pressure sensor value go up, all right? And let's see what it goes up to. So let's activate the drain pump test. So the drain pump test on. There it is. My drain pump is actually getting water out of this unit. And let's go ahead and look at the watch box. And you notice that the pressure sensor, after a couple seconds, it takes a little bit to catch up. But after a little while, the number will go up. There it is, 103.54. And it's going to go up to some value. I don't really care what the value is as long as it goes up by a few hertz at 108. That is a clear indication. So let's kill the drain pump. Okay, the frequency is now 108, so that's a clear indication that my pressure sensor detected that water has fully exited the cavity, the dishwasher cavity. And of course, I don't see any water. There's no water left in here. All right, so that's how you would test a component like the drain pump. So just like that, my friends, let's go back over here. So you can see it. All right. So just like that, we tested a few of the components, right? Actually, we checked not only the heater, we checked the main control board. It's sending power to the heater. It's also sending power to the drain pump, the water valve as well. We checked all three components, water valve, drain pump, and heater. And we also tested an abstract component. I call it abstract because abstract means it's kind of hard to test, which is the pressure sensor. That pressure sensor is responsible for communicating to the main control board how much water is in there, how much water comes in, how much water comes out. So if that sensor is faulty, you might get a situation where the machine doesn't fill, doesn't drain, or just gives you a code, and you might be swapping out, parts like water valves, drain pumps, boards, when in reality the culprit was that very inexpensive drain pressure sensor, and that's really all you would have to replace. But it's hard to test it. However, with SmartHQ, it makes it super, super simple. Okay. any questions about this test so far, my friends? This quick demo that I just gave you all. All right. So I do see something in the chat that popped up. Let's see. Hi, Sunny. Okay, yes, Sunny. Do you want to Sunny Jet from Jet Cool Appliances? Thank you for thank you for joining us, Sunny. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself. And that's open to anybody here. But if you want to type it in the chat, you can do that as well. You can also raise your hand. All right, my friends. So let's quickly move on over here. So as you saw, we were able to activate again from the SmartHQ service application. What we're showing on the screen right now is this same thing, but on an iPhone. And again, you're welcome to use an Android device, an iOS device, a tablet, or a phone. We don't care what you use as long as it is one of those four that I just mentioned right now. So with that said, my friends, I want to go ahead and shift gears over here and quickly talk about some additional training resources that we offer. So Encompass obviously provides you with great training resources directly on their website. However, GE Appliances, we like to also extend these training resources to you directly from us, and you can access our Fix It Like a Pro webinar training series, and that is by simply scanning the QR code right there, or you can go to our website, smarthqpro.com. I think you just look under webinars and you can register. And this gives you monthly webinars that we broadcast live. These are independent from what we're doing with Encompass today, but we do cover other products as well, dishwashers, washing machines, cooking products, refrigerators. We've, pretty much the whole spectrum. So great resource. There's absolutely no cost to you. The only thing that we want is obviously for you to be educated, to be able to repair our appliances with more confidence, and that makes our customers happy, so that makes us happy. So that's kind of win-win situation for everybody. Okay. All right. So I don't see any questions right now, so we're going to go ahead and quickly move to another test that we are going to run. And for that, my friends, I actually forgot to show this earlier this morning, so I do want to go ahead and show everybody what we're going to do here. If you ever come across a situation where, let's say, the water or the dishes on the bottom rack are coming out clean, but the top ones are dirty, or vice versa, one of the things you want to check is your diverter. So for that, what we're going to do, we're going to use this clear door cover. So with the aid of the clear door cover, pop this baby right on the machine over here. There it is. And we are going to actually run. So let's turn this on. We're going to go ahead and activate the water valve again. So water valve test. So I just turned that on. And the machine is filling. You probably can hardly see it because of the clear door cover, but I can assure you the machine is filling with water, and we can verify that by checking our pressure frequency. So again, the frequency right now, it is 104.86, so it is going to drop. It dropped from 108. It is going to continue to drop. There it is, 103.32, as the cavity is filling with water. So what we're doing right now, again, just to recap, we are testing everything that could possibly cause this unit to malfunction. We're checking everything digitally from our application. No tools, no disassembly, no nothing. So while we're waiting for that to fill, I did see a question pop up, so let's see. Is there a part number for the cover? Yes, there is, my friend. Yes, there is a part number for the cover. Where is that part number? Let me see if I can find it for you right now, because it is a great part that you can use. Give me a couple minutes. I am pulling it up, and let's see. Pulled up the wrong presentation over here. Okay, I'm not finding it at the moment, but I will put it in the chat a little bit later on, my friends. Okay, I promise you that I will make sure that we find this for you. But that is a great question. I will get to you, Mr. The appliance doctor. Yes, the appliance doctor needs Needs that part. All right. So with that said, we fill the cavity, and now we're going to go ahead and do the circulation pump test. All right. So let me bring the iPad over here so everybody can see where we're at. I think it looks better on this side. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and run the circulation pump test. So I'm going to turn the lower spray arm on, and you're going to see that the water will begin to come out of the lower spray arm. And there it is. So the water is coming out of the lower spray arm. And still trying to find that part number, I promise you. Okay, so you can see that water's coming out of the lower spray arm. Let's go ahead and turn on the upper spray arm now. But before I do that, I want to show you on the watch box how the diverter position shows lower spray system clockwise. Okay, so that means the diverter is also communicating with the MIDI. Let's go ahead and turn this off, and we're going to activate the upper spray arm. So let's go ahead, upper on, and now we will see, first the water is going to come out of the lower spray arm for like a couple seconds, and that's normal, that's okay. But as soon as it stops, the diverter is still shifting positions. As soon as it stops, then it's going to shift gears, and the water will come out from the upper spray arm. Watch. And there it is. All right, so I actually just found the part number, my friends. I am going to put that part number in the chat. Oh, thank you so much, Andy, for you actually beat me to it. Thank you. That's the part number for the clear door cover. My friends, this is a good part to have. I mean, look at what I'm doing right now. I'm actually able to see what's happening inside. And if I want to also send the water to the back, it's called the silverware nozzle. I can hit silverware on. The water will stop coming out of the upper spray arm, and it's going to start coming out from the rear of the machine, which is the silverware nozzle. Okay, it's kind of high pressure, so you're going to see it coming over here somewhere. There it is. You see the water just shooting into this area. And again, it's intended to clean the silverware nice and there it is. A lot of water is coming this way. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And again, my friends, that is how you would know, based on your diverter position, what exactly it is that is happening there. Okay. So with that said, let's go ahead and exit service mode over here. So we're going to go ahead and click exit service mode. And now we're back to sort of the dashboard screen over here. Okay. All right, my friends. So any questions about what I just showed right now? Let's see if there's any on the chat. Or if you have a question, again, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you, and then you can ask your question. Can you show how to put it on? I'm assuming you're talking about the clear door cover, right? So let's see. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Okay, so it's actually for some. So my camera is as close as far away as it can get from the actual appliance. So I'm gonna have to move some things around here. But essentially, it kind of looks like a door. So it's nice and wet on the inside. It does have a stripe, so hopefully you can see that stripe right there. And then what you basically do is you just bring it up, put it on the bottom first. Okay, so you have to have the rack out, and you got to open the door fully open. Then you bring this over here, and just drop it in place, press, and that's it. Pretty simple, my friends. All right, so it's not a difficult. It doesn't require any tools. It's really easy to use. And let's see, we do have another question over here in the chat. Does it work for any model, any brand? So it'll work with all GE dishwashers except the ADA compliant ones, because those are a smaller profile in the front. It will not work with other brands, unfortunately, my friends. I used to work for another for another manufacturer, for another OEM. It was a great company, and I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to say the name publicly, but I think you'll know which one I'm talking about. It's the one that had the ice maker issues that you had to put like couple little clips and some glue around the inside. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Some years back, okay. What I used to do with those, actually, believe it or not, is saran wrap around the front of the door, and it acted very similar to this, and it actually did work. Okay, but again, with GE, we have this part. You don't have to use saran wrap. You can just use this use this clear door cover. All right. Let's go back over here, and we do have our next topic over here, which is no defect found cases. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about because, oh man, what can I tell you about this? It's a pretty frustrating, situation where when you can't exactly pinpoint what is causing the issue, and you know that there's no problem with the machine, and the problem is usually the way that the customer is using their appliance, but there's no way for you to exactly pinpoint it unless they tell you the truth. Let's say it that way, okay? You know what I'm talking about, right? My oven's not heating. My refrigerator is leaving. The food is going bad. The temperature's high. Or again, my dishwasher, the dishes are coming out wet or dirty. My washing machine is taking 5 hours to finish the load. All those kind of different things. And in this case, of course, because we're talking about dishwashers, we're going to focus on dishes coming out wet or dirty. All right, we hear this all the time in this business. So if you ever get that situation, obviously you want to be diligent and check the things we just talked about, right? Check your dispenser, make sure your heater's working, your fan, water valves, the spray arms, the diverter, all of that. But if you've already done all that and you still can't find anything wrong with the machine, then what? Well, that's when the cycle history feature comes handy, right? Because with SmartHQ service, you can actually open up the cycle history section, and I'll show you how to get to that. Actually, let's go ahead and show you how we get to that point. Not on the PowerPoint slide, but actually on the real unit over here. So again, what I'm going to do, we're going to split the screen. The first thing you're going to do from your dashboard is go to the diagnostic features and then simply enter cycle history. So click cycle history, and my last 5 cycles that I've performed on using this machine will come up. So it is going to give me the cycle I selected. It's going to give me the cycle duration time. And right off the bat, I can see in my cycles, I've selected the express, auto. So remember what I was mentioning to you before, my friends. If the customer selects the express cycle, the 1 hour cycle, it is never going to leave the dishes dry. Okay, that 100% of the dishes will come out wet. Will they come out clean? Well, that depends. That depends on the soil level of the dishes when you put them in. If you put in really super dirty with sticky grease on them and everything, guess what? That 1 hour cycle, the express cycle, is not going to cut it. You need to do the heavy duty, the pots, or even the automatic cycle will be better. So this is an easy way for you to show Mr. and Mrs. Customer, your complaint is that your dishes always come out wet, or lately they've been coming out wet, right? The last few days. So here's a reason why. You've selected the express cycle, and clearly in the manual, be nice about this, I explained it, but say the use and care guide tells you that if you select the express cycle, the dishes will not be fully dry at the end. You have to wipe them down. That's a trade-off. You want fast, you got to dry them by hand. You want it dry, it's going to take a while. I'll share an example with you. So the fix here is simply select the automatic or the normal cycle or the heavy duty, and everything will be resolved. And guess what? Most of the time, customers will believe technology more than what comes out of our mouths. So it's a great tool to have over here, my friends. So let me share an example. As I've said before, this was sent to us from one of our technicians in the field that uses SmartHQ service. And I love this example because this one talks about a customer that his complaint was that the dishes were coming out nice and dry, and clean, but the machine took about 4 or 5 hours to finish the load. So let's take a look. So again, as I mentioned, you can see the cycle the customer selected. So in this case, they selected intense, delicate, normal, auto wash. Fine, that should leave the dishes clean and dry for the most part. But take a look at this cycle duration time, 4 hours. Holy moly. This poor customer, frustrated obviously because maybe he has guests coming to the house for holiday parties or whatever the case may be. And nobody has time, or at least he doesn't have time to wait 4 hours for the dishes to come out, to come out of the dishwasher. But that's the reality, my friends. Sometimes our consumers don't really know how to utilize their appliance. They don't read the guide, right? Most customers do not read the use and care guide. So when they are wondering why the machine is doing whatever it's doing, it's typically because of something that they selected in terms of the cycle options. Okay. So when we go back over here, you can actually see that this customer selected the ultra dry function. And that is why the dishes took so long, because as soon as you select that ultra dry, guess what? You are going to get bone dry dishes. They will come out dry. I promise you that. But the trade-off is you will be waiting a long, long, long time, 4 hours. Okay. So with that said, my friends, I thought I heard a chime over here. Does anybody have any questions about anything I just mentioned right now with regards to the cycle history?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Dave Mullis with Mr. Appliance in Middletown. Just a general question.
Yeah.
Regarding the SmartHQ app. Is there like a list or a database of which models have the RJ45 port and which ones don't, or is it like a date cutoff?
So great question, and thank you for joining us for Mr. Appliance. So absolutely, there is a list. So on the appliance, on the app itself. What am I sharing? Okay, I have to make sure I'm sharing the right thing. So on the app itself, let's go back over here to the first screen over here. If we were to turn off the Bluetooth, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the Bluetooth. You get basically the blank screen over here. You can click the edit button and you can type in your model number. Once you type in the model number, it'll tell you whether it's compatible or not. And you can do this from your office. You can do this from anywhere. You don't have to be in the field to do that. So the database that, for lack of a, I guess, better term, it's built in to the app itself. And as long as you type in the correct model number, it's going to give you whether it's compatible or not. And by the way, you don't need to type in the serial number. So that's one way you'd be able to do that. Your second question, I believe, was how far does this go back? So we've actually been utilizing this tool, or I should say our factory service team, since 2012. So SmartHQ service will work on appliances dating all the way back to 2012, but let me just explain the limitations. So in 2012, obviously our technology wasn't as advanced as it is today, but only the high-end, like the very, very high-end models that had the Wi-Fi capability, the Bluetooth connection were compatible. We're talking now maybe from 2017 and on. The majority of our appliances will have compatibility, with the exception of the top mount fridges. So, the 18 cubic foot that has a freezer on the top and the fridge at the bottom. That's more an electromechanical appliance. Doesn't really have any communication protocol. So we're not going to put a port on that one. But all the dishwashers have it. All the washing machines, dryers, cooking products, with wall ovens, or even I shouldn't say wall ovens, I should say wall ovens because it's behind me, but with ranges. This cycle history allows you to see what the bake temperatures were, to see if the unit's calibrated. So without you having to stand there with I used to use a multimeter with a thermocouple, wait for the unit to heat up, or early in my career, I bought one of those little, you know what I'm talking about, the dollar store thermometers that takes like 45 minutes to reach temperature. In less than 2 minutes, you can find out how well or not calibrated the oven is, whether it's wall, range, doesn't matter. So kind of went off in a little tangent there, but that's a great question with compatibility and all the way back to 2012. So thank you for asking that.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you.
Awesome. I do see something in the chat over here, so let's go ahead and address that. What is the subscription price? So excellent question. The subscription for this is $50 per month to have the monthly, that's a monthly fee for the application. That $50 a month is if you pay a 1 year in advance. So you basically pay $600. If you want to pay each month, well, like 1 month at a time, you pay a little bit more. It's going to be $55. And before anybody flinches, okay, because I'm sure a lot of people just go, like, what? I can't afford 50. I'm sure you can, but just to let you know, okay. And I'm not trying to sell you a single thing over here. I don't get a penny out of this, but I'm going to tell you this to put it in perspective. If you use this tool once a month, just once, okay, to save you a second service visit, because maybe you were able to explain to a customer or perform a service, a firmware update, and that resolved the issue without having to order a part. Not only have you paid for the subscription, but you've actually made a little bit of a profit in the process, because I won't tell you how much it costs to put a service technician in the field. You already know that, and it is far more than $50 per month. The cost for you to put a tech out there or to put yourself out there, with the cost of fuel, insurance, your time, it far exceeds that. So use it once a month, it pays for itself. Okay. And companies, that's why we have so many thousands of users, because they see immediate value. Even if you don't have that much of a GE appliance like service calls, you don't have to have 50 service calls a month for this thing to pay for itself. Use it once or twice, and it pays for itself. And you can't get any better than getting it for free today, okay, from Encompass. So we have a great partnership with them. They're offering it to you. So definitely give it a shot. But great question over here, my friends. All right. Moving on, let me go back over here. Last thing to wrap up the cycle history. If you get a customer that says, wrong camera, okay, they might say the dishes in the lower rack come out clean, the top ones come out dirty, or vice versa. One of the things that we might be tempted to do is to check the spray arms, and you should do that, right? Make sure that the water's coming out of the little holes there. But if you already checked that and you tested it and it's working, it could be simply that the customer has selected the only one of the wash zones. So the cycle history over here in SmartHQ will actually tell you which zones were selected, either upper, lower, or in this case that you see right here, both. So if you ever see upper, and the complaint was my lower rack is coming out dirty, the dishes, bingo, there's your answer right there. Maybe inadvertently they as they were cleaning the unit, they hit the upper rack button and that engaged only the upper or the lower. So that's one thing that allows you to quickly assess that kind of a situation, and immediately you're able to resolve it. And the reason why I say this is so important, my friends, to use this technology, the cycle history, is because typically, and I'm sure you know this already, but I'm going to say it anyway, when I used to go to customers' houses and it was simply a matter of educating them, right, on how to use their appliance, a lot of the times, because I didn't do anything in terms of changing parts or disassembling or testing, they would question my credibility. They would say, wait a minute, I know I have a problem and you're telling me that there's no problem. I kind of don't believe you. So, at the time, what I would say is, look, I know there's no problem with the unit, but if you still have issues, call me back and I'll come back. Guess what happened 99% of the time? They called me back and I had to go back there and just waste my time again. You don't want to do that. So if you can convince them, you don't have to convince them, but essentially if you can show them with evidence on the application, they are much less likely to call you back, because now you have tangible evidence that, again, they'll believe the tablet more than what comes out of our mouth. So in many cases, unfortunately, that's just human nature. Okay. With that said, I don't see any questions over here. Yeah, you had a question there?
I do have a question for you, sir. Yes, sir. This is Lee with Expansion Appliance.
All right.
So,
thank you for joining us, Lee.
Thank you, sir, for putting this class on. In relationship to the SmartHQ, so you go out to the customer's home, you perform the diagnostic, utilize the SmartHQ. It gives you back a reading and report of what they have done and what they are doing or not doing. So under a warranty call, this does save this information inside the system. Is that correct?
That is correct. So I don't work directly with the service team. My understanding from pretty much every OEM out there is that if you go out and service a product and it is customer education, as a manufacturer, most manufacturers will honor one warranty claim for customer education. In other words, we don't want you to go back 20 times because the customer has questions about what does this button do or what does this feature do, right? we'll pay you to go out there once and educate them once.
Right.
But yeah, this information is critical for, for these cases where the customer is convinced that there's a problem, and you're the expert, you're the professional that knows there isn't. But again, because we didn't do anything, some customers don't believe us. But yeah, this information is stored there. You can take screenshots, and the cycle history, not the cycle history, sorry, the session history. So anytime you plug into an appliance, you can go back, like even 2 years back, 5 years back, enter the model serial number, and it'll give you a history of exactly what it is you did that day with all the readings that you captured in that session. So it's a beautiful thing.
And
Yeah.
that is phenomenal. And that's kind of that's the first part of my question. So the second part is that, so if the customer calls back in 2 weeks later because they still have the same issue, the factory sends this call back out to me as a recall. Then technically they're not supposed to pay me for this call. But if we have established that this is a customer instruction predicated upon the testing and the findings from the SmartHQ, then how does that work between us and the factory?
Okay, so between you and GE in this case. Okay, I see. There has to be, and again, I need to educate myself in that sense because I don't work directly with the warranty team, but I can definitely ask them. So if you want to go ahead and share your contact information and just we'll communicate offline over here. I can definitely give you an answer on that. My kind of assumption right now, and again, it's an assumption, it's not a certainty, but would be that we would ask for any kind of evidence, right? That it was a customer education call, that you definitely determined there was no real issue, so that we don't make you go out there a second time out of your own, out of your own pocket, right? At that point, we would ask the customer to pay. Look, the technician already went out there. They determined that there's no issue. We have all the evidence that shows that there's no issue with your appliance.
Right.
If you still need somebody to kind of guide you, this second service visit will have to come out of your pocket, not the technician's. So again, if you share your contact info with me, I have direct communication with our warranty team. I can get an answer for you regarding that.
Will do. Thank you, sir.
And by the way, anybody else that has, thank you for asking, and anybody that has any other questions that maybe you don't want to ask now, again, share your contact info with Encompass. They will pass that information along to me, and then we can communicate offline. All right. All right. So let me see if we have any other questions over here. All right. Doesn't seem to be. So let's move on to the last part, which is firmware updates. Okay. This hour went by quick, my friends. All right, with firmware updates, the first thing you're going to see as soon as you open the application is this little button over here, the icon. It looks like a sprocket wheel. It's going to show a red triangle over it, red hazard triangle. And that would be your indication that there is a firmware that you need to perform on this appliance. Whether you do it or not, that's your choice, but the appliance is due for an update. So I'll give you an example over here. Let's say your dishwasher, and this is part of a service bulletin that we have out there. This came out in 2022. Let's say the dishwasher is not drying the dishes, right? Because the fan is not operating, or the customer complains that the dishwasher is making a weird noise. And in this case, the bulletin tells us that it could be a fan that is running too loud, right? Or again, not running at all. So the bulletin says that the fix for this is not to replace any parts, but rather simply perform an update by utilizing that software update module, the SUM module that you see right there on your screen. However, with SmartHQ service, you don't have to do any of that. All you need to do, if you get the little icon that shows up there, click the firmware update button, and I need to reconnect this to Bluetooth. Click the firmware update button, run the firmware update, and it'll fix it on the spot. Okay, so if you think about the convenience of that, not just for you, right? Because you're able to walk in. Here you are maybe thinking, oh man, I'm going to have to order a fan, maybe a UI board or whatever. I think it connects to the UI board, the fan. I have to check the schematic. But again, that entails having to order parts, coming back, taking the door halves apart. You know how hard that is if you've done it? And they never go back the same way unless you're super, super careful. Okay, so all that pain and convenience, right? Plus your customer having to, welcome you to their home again. It's all eliminated. You walk in and out. I'm talking from the minute you step in to the minute you leave. 10, 15 minutes tops, and you're done. The appliance is fixed, and you can go about your way and do, maybe you had a customer that needed a service, performed, and you couldn't do it that day because you're busy. But now it's like a cancellation, right? It's like a time slot opened up. Mr. Mrs. Customer, I have some time to go to your house and take a look at that appliance that you had, that oven that you say was broken, whatever it is. It opens up capacity for you to run more service calls. And we talked about the fact that if you save a service visit, you pay for the subscription. Well, now you're actually adding revenue to your, to your business, because now you're able to run more service calls. Okay, and it's not uncommon that we hear companies saying that they are able to run 2-3 more service calls per day, just by utilizing this tool, because of how efficient it makes them. So great tool. Let's see, what do we have over here? Is that the newest wall oven behind you? Yeah, so this is actually one of the new ones that came out. I forgot exactly what year it came out, but it's a touchpad one, really cool. And the port on this one, in case anybody's wondering, if you work on this unit, so the port on this wall oven is there's a little kind of a tiny little small panel right there. You remove the screw using a Torx screwdriver, and the port for that would be right then and there. So very easy, but it's a nice oven. I like it. For the holidays, it's great. The bottom one got really dirty, but I'm not going to run a self-clean. I'm going to clean it the old-fashioned way with Easy Off, because I know what self-clean does sometimes, but just wanted to mention that. Can you review how it connects to the appliances? Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back over here to our first slide. All right, let me see. Okay, so let's shift gears. Okay, so in the case of dishwashers, my friends, if you want to connect this, you take your Bluetooth module. There is a RJ45 cable that's already included. You would basically remove, in the case of a dishwasher, you remove the toe kick plate from the front of the dishwasher. Underneath, you kind of have to look maybe with either just kind of get down there and stick your head as far as it can go there, or take your phone maybe, or a mirror. You will find the RJ45 port, and that's where it is going to connect. And incidentally, on the app itself, there is going to be, so let me shift over to the app over here. So on the app itself, there's a button that says Ethernet port. If you click on that, it's going to come with, there's a couple of videos that you can actually play them, and it'll show you where the port is, or you can just go to the Ethernet port location, and you see right here, all the different ports. So remember the one I was talking about, the wall oven? It tells you where it is right there. If you're talking about maybe a washing machine, the washer port is right where the detergent dispenser is, right in the front, so you don't have to pull the unit out of the point of installation. Everything is going to be right there for you. But great questions that we're getting over here. Note to all, recording, okay, will be available. Beautiful. Okay. All right, my friends. So the last thing that I want to show, and I just want to make sure that I'm going back to
one quick thing, Mr. Morales, before you move on.
Go ahead, sir.
Where was that app where you just pulled up, where it showed you where all the ports were?
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and let me put myself in the screen over here. Let's switch. Okay. So from your dashboard screen, okay, so you're in the initial page over here. There's a button under product features. There's a button called Ethernet port. Click that, and you can simply click Ethernet port location. That is going to bring up a PDF.
Gotcha.
And then you just pick your product. Pick ovens, pick refrigerators. The whole spectrum of appliances will be there. So very easy to find. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, my friends. Thanks for asking. Great questions. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about, my friends, is your bundle pack. So hopefully everybody takes advantage of this. Again, it's not going to cost you anything, as long as you spend $2,500 in parts, and $2,500 in GE parts goes just like that. So take advantage of this. Okay, believe me when I tell you, you're going to love this tool, and it's not going to cost you anything. When you get home and you have this, you receive your bundle pack. Inside the box, there is going to be a QR code. I got the one without it because this was like the pre-production ones, but inside over here, there is going to be a nice QR code that you can scan that's going to show you, or it's going to give you access to this video that we're about to play over here. Okay, I'm going to explain to you exactly what it is that you need to do. But essentially, Once you scan the video, it's going to tell you to go to a website. The video will show the website and, of course, in the QR code. And what you need to do first is register an account. Okay, before you download the app to your phone, before you download the app to your iPad, tablet, whatever it is, please do me a favor, my friends. Go ahead and register an account. If you don't do that, you're not going to get access granted on the app. Unfortunately, you have to create an account. Once you create an account, the app is going to ask you, or the website is going to ask you to enter the code that is found on the Bluetooth module. So that's a Mac ID code that's over here. That is your redemption code, kind of like when you redeem a gift card or something like that. That is your code for your first month of subscription. And this gives you access immediately to your SmartHQ service application. So obviously you have to create a password, a username, things like that. But once that's done, you're able to utilize the tool. So let me go ahead and play the video. And again, I'll walk through the steps because for some reason we were not getting audio before. So let's take a look. All right, so the first thing that you need to do as soon as you get your bundle pack is go to this website, which is service.dashboard.smarthqpro.com. And again, that's going to be on when you scan the QR code. Very important that you must register the account, otherwise you will not be able to access the app. Once you register your account, you're going to get an email asking you to verify your account. So go ahead and do that. Check your spam, check your junk mail, because sometimes it goes there. I don't know why, but it just does. And then once you verify an account, you're going to need to sign in. Now, in case you don't get a verification email, you might need to reset your password. But once you do all of that, okay, in most cases, you don't need to reset your password. Once you do that, you'll be able to sign in. And the first thing that you're going to be asked is, do you want to activate a bundle pack? Please go ahead and click yes, and then click the number of bundle packs. In this case, we're only showing one bundle pack. And then go ahead and click continue, or rather before that, enter the MAC ID. Sorry about that. Enter the MAC ID that I mentioned. Make sure it's capital letters because I think we're case sensitive there. And when you do that, you'll get this little confetti screen telling you you've successfully registered your bundle pack. Now, this tells you you have one license available, and you can allocate that to anybody you want, including yourself. So go ahead and click allocate licenses, enter the technician's information or your information if this is for you. Make sure you select the right device, whether it's iOS or Android. And now the license has been allocated to you. You're going to receive an email telling you exactly what to do, which is download the application to your mobile device. And again, it works on both Android and iOS, so you can choose from the Google Play Store or the App Store. Open up the app, enter your credentials as service tech. And if you're giving this to somebody else, so if you're setting up this account for somebody else, that someone else will need to reset their password because you can't set a password for them. They have to do it. So obviously, they can enter any password they'd like. They have to enter their email address, click reset password. They will get an email with instructions. Very simple, just like you reset a password doing anything else. And the important thing here is to make sure you use a proper or you meet this criteria, right? Which is, of course, I think you need to use 8 characters, 1 capital, 1 lowercase, a special character. Again, everything will be, we'll guide you step by step on the app. And once you register the account, reset the password, you can sign in and begin doing things like firmware updates, or just like we showed today, component activation, everything. And if you have questions, you can always reach us at smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com. But again, when you scan the QR code inside of the box, everything I mentioned, the website, the support email, that is going to be available to you. And as I said before, my friends, it's a very simple process. Okay, it really is. The problem that we get, and we get this quite often, is technicians will get this tool, and obviously we all want to do things as quickly as possible. The first thing technicians do is they download the app to their mobile device and they try to sign in from there, and it won't work that way. Okay, you need to register the account online. You can do it on the device as well. It doesn't have to be on a computer per se, but you do have to go to that website, service.dashboard.smarthqpro.com. Once you create the account and you redeem the code, then you have the 1 month. Then download the app, sign in, and you will have access. Okay, so that's pretty much the setup. It's super simple. and with this bundle pack that Encompass is giving you, again, it's going to come with 1 month of subscription at no cost to you. Any questions about that, my friends? And I know the video kind of ran fast, but when you scan the code, you can pause the video, just go at your own pace, okay? No need to rush in. All right, my friends, unfortunately, it looks like we're a little bit over the time, but that's all the time we have for you today. I just want to say thank you for having taken time out of your schedule to join this meeting. I also want to wish you and your families a wonderful holiday season. And again, my friends, I can't think of a better gift to give to someone that has everything than the SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack, because it comes in a nice little case, put a bow on it, drop it under the tree, and it's going to make someone's holiday very, very merry. All right. So with that said, my friends, any last minute questions before we go here?
Greg had. Go ahead, Juan.
I see the Bluetooth module is separate. So when you get your bundle pack, it's going to come with the hardware. This is the Bluetooth module and 1 month of subscription. And once you buy the $2,500 in parts from Encompass, you get a $200 credit. This is yours to keep. The subscription will expire in a month, at which point we will prompt you if you want to continue to renew it. You can. Or not, it's up to you, but the hardware is yours to keep forever and ever until the end of time. All right. It's a great question there. Any other adapters needed? Nope, you don't need anything else. A cable comes with it. It's only like a 2-3 foot Ethernet cable. If you want to get a nice long one so you can put your module anywhere, it's up to you. But it comes with everything that you need to get started. It doesn't come with a phone. Somebody asked me that once. Does it come with a tablet? Or it does not. You have to provide your own mobile device. All right. So with that, my friends, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. We're going to leave you with with the QR code so that you can place the order directly from Encompass. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time, my friends. Bye-bye, everyone.
Hang on 1 second, Juan. Perry, you had a question?
Oh,
I do.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Go. Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Sure, thanks. Quick question. Using this as a desktop, the app to pre-diagnose calls. I just did one. I had a customer give me an error. I put in the model number, and I've had this happen several times, where no information comes up, no service manuals, no bulletins, no anything. And I checked the model number, like at Encompass or whatever, and it's a good model number, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? There's just no data on it at all. I've had that happen several times. I was just curious.
I think let me address that right now, because I actually just got a note from tech support, or from our tech support, right, from SmartHQ, like about a couple hours ago. So you're saying you go into the manuals and bulletins and you're getting a blank screen in this section?
Well, it comes up. The screen is populated, but it says like service manual, no documents found. Mini manual, no documents found.
All right, so let's enter a model number, like GTW, right? Like a top load washer, let's say. And then we go to service manuals, and okay, so about an hour ago, none of this was populating, the mini manual, nothing. They actually just fixed the bug. So do me a favor, sir, try it again after we're done with this call. See if it populates, because I can see it now. I can see the documents. And look at the crystal clear graphics that you get with SmartHQ. It's amazing. But yeah, I know we were having that issue. That's why it was interesting. That's why I wanted to look into my system. It seems to be fixed now. So please go ahead and do me a favor, take a look at it, because I was at a conference last week in the West Coast. I got the same thing. I tried to pull up a document, it didn't come up. I was like, something broken? I thought it was a Wi-Fi, but apparently it was a bug that we had for a few days. But it looks like it's fixed. So thank you for asking. All right, awesome.
Thanks, Juan.
All right, my friends.
This is Andy. Juan, once again, thank you for your time and your expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your time. Training is on encompass.com. You don't need to log in anymore, and you can see the various trainings we have up. And my job is to try to bring more manufacturers into our training. And again, have a super day, and we appreciate you attending. Thank you.